get your runs here. Some free runs. Come on over. Got some free runs. You want second? You want second? No, I'll do you one better. Give you third base. Come on over home. We got you. Yankee Stadium, free runs. Jesus Christ.
Except for us. We don't get to score runs. But welcome, everybody. Good morning. This is the Pitch High Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tass. I'm here with Rob and Donald. And no, it was a bloodbath. It really was. It was, we get hung up with the Boston series. You're like, all right, shit happens, right? You have a bad series. Just pick it up on the next one. They win the first game. They should have won the second game. And then yesterday was just right out of the memory. I don't even want to. Those games happen. I think game 2 was the game that really just kept me pissed off, because it really, we should have had that game. You can't. You get Cole back. Stanton. You were missing Judge, but Stanton put on a freaking show. The guy that everybody wanted gone is the only reason that was a game. But the extra innings, that stupid Manfred rule. But I think the biggest problem is the catcher not holding runners, and the catcher not being able to throw to second base, third base. Forget it; he throws it right over his freaking head. Well, this is not a one-time deal now. There's a couple times now you could reference.
But
This was just an utter embarrassment. An embarrassment. 7 games against a team that won the division last year, is the only team that can threaten us in the AL to this point. And you've lost 5 out of 7 to this team. Get your heads out of your fucking asses and play some fucking baseball. It's that easy. And you can't say it's because of the heat, because my first thought was, New York does have this heat wave that's here. We were talking about it right before the show. The three of us are comparing who has it worse. Rob won that battle. But you can't say it was the heat, because it didn't hurt the other team. They put up 17 runs. You blink, the game was over. And I feel bad for Heel, and I don't want to hate on Heel on this one. Every starter is going to have one of those games where they just don't have it. But it's the offense, too. The offense, they did not show up. When you look at the pitching matchups, like we analyzed the last show we did, this should have been advantage Yankees. And it was nothing of that.
You can try to blame the offense all you want, but 17 runs, it's hard to say you should have scored 18. Like, what were we going to do? It was 8-0 before we can blink. So
yeah,
you try coming back from that against a team like Baltimore. As crazy as it sounds, Luis Heel needed a start like this to see how he responds to it. He needs to go through a rough patch, because it's not going to be perfect for him. Jones says he looks tired. I agree. He does look a bit tired. The kid's got excellent stuff. He's going to be really, really good, but he needs to learn the rebound effect now, because every pitcher goes through it. Every single good pitcher goes through the rough stretch. Garrett Cole 2 years ago, there was a point in time where we were questioning whether he was the ace or not, because he looked terrible. Remember that? Not too long ago. Every pitcher will go through it. We need to see how he responds to a game like that. It does happen. It was a disgrace. You're right, NFE. Those games will happen in a 162-game season. It sucks, but it does happen. It sucks it was against Baltimore, but you try to brush that off and win tonight. But game 2, there was a chance to steal that game after Big G brought us back. And I can blame Trevino. I can blame Clay Holmes. I can blame the 9th inning rule. But the decision-making late in that game is still bothering me. The decision to pinch hit with Jahmai Jones in that spot. If Judge wasn't going to play that's one thing. Fine. You want to give him the full day off just to be safe. Okay. Even though he played the next day and hit a home run. That's one thing. You're bringing in Jahmai Jones to pinch hit in a big spot. You take out Grisham, who actually hits lefties better than he hits righties. And he's had some clutch hits this year. He hasn't had many hits, but his hits have been clutch. He's come up big in moments for us this year. And that's the decision, not Cabrera, not let Grisham swing the bat. It's Jahmai Jones, who's been playing once every maybe 2 weeks. He gets playing time. Like that bothered me a lot. That was a game they could have won, and you could have stole 2 out of 3. I think the offense was overall okay considering Baltimore, even with the injuries, they still have decent pitching. That's a very good team. And their offense is no freaking joke, as we saw yesterday and the day before. That's a very, very good team. And as of right now, it's June, so anything can happen. But as of right now, we're not built to beat them in a 7-game series. Now, that might not be the case in October. We'll have to wait and see. But we will see them again before the season's over, of course. And probably in October, if we want to get to the World Series, guess what? We have to go through Baltimore. More likely than not, we have to go through them. So right now, we are not built to beat them. Luckily, it's June, not October. So we still have plenty of time to correct that. But that game 2, yesterday was just a laugher. It was done after the first inning. That was like, this game, whatever. Game 2 was a winnable game that they absolutely, it's not fixed. Don't start that nonsense. It's not fixed. That game, they got their asses kicked yesterday, but game 2 was winnable, and it should have been a game that they won, and they didn't. But you're seeing the issues. The Yankees definitely need some bullpen help and need to consider change at catcher, at least maybe giving Wells the majority of the playing time.
No, well, that's what I was saying. I don't think it was really the offense. I mean, the pitching just completely imploded. And stretches like this are going to happen. Where you just nothing. We've had 2.5 months where everything went right. So we have a week now where nothing is going right. Let's not let the beginning of the season become a memory, or a distant memory. These things happen. It's how you respond. And I think it was just Baltimore took advantage of the momentum shift with game 2. Game 2 that was the game of the series. One, despite the loss, I'll still say I thought that was a phenomenal baseball game. Like I think that was one of those classic losses that we've had, where you could go and you could watch it back and you'd be like, you could still feel all that anxiety and the emotion, the ups and the downs. I think that's a game you could go back and watch over and over again. And still be one of those, and you're still surprised by the outcome. Like, how did we lose that game? But I yesterday, you brush it off. Shit like that happens. There's nothing you can do about it. Not everybody's going to be clicking at the same time. But June was set up to be a very tough month on the schedule, which is why when you have the start that we did, winning almost every series, it kind of absorbs the pain a little bit of this past week of baseball. Donald, what are you thinking?
Oh, I got a lot of freaking thoughts. I'll tell you that. Let's start with Jahmai Jones. I think that's a disgraceful call from Aaron Boone. First of all, it made no fucking sense. Jahmai Jones is the last guy on the bench, right? Why is he coming in the middle of the game? Where's the evidence that he's a better hitter against lefties than Grisham? Another thing, the Yankees have been looking for excuses to give Grisham at bats because they've been telling us for days Grisham's great. Aaron Judge, what did he say? Grisham's great. Grisham's fantastic. Let's he's really underrated, right? What did Aaron Judge do when everyone was chanting "Let's go Soto, we want Soto," and then Grisham hit the 3-run home run. Judge Day afterwards, we're really lucky to have a player like Grisham, right? Aaron Boone embarrassed him more than the fans did by chanting "Let's go Soto." Back in the Dodgers series, he embarrassed him by taking him out midway through for no frickin' reason for the last name on the bench. That was a bad call because what's the trade-off? You're trading off elite defense in center field, right? You're trading off a guy who's an everyday player, right? He's played like shit this year. Don't get me wrong, right? I'm not happy with Grisham this year. But You've made this acquisition. He is an everyday player. He is a Gold Glove center fielder. He is all these things. And the trade off, and he's also got a bit of pop on him. He's already shown this year he's got a bit of pop. He's yarded a couple of shots over that right field wall. So you take him out, and what's the trade off? An infielder playing the outfield, and then you have to have Jones for the next 3 at bats, and really important at bats with runners in scoring position. You name it. What was the trade off? What was the gain from that? And all it did, and ever since that move, Aaron Boone tangled himself into a web of shit that he didn't need to cause, because then there was a knock-on effect on who was going to be his pinch runner. Jones was the perfect pinch runner, but you couldn't have Jones as a pinch runner because Jones is now your freaking outfielder out of nowhere, right? Now you've lost the Gold Glove center fielder in there, and then you have Wells as a pinch runner. You have Ozzie Cabrera as a pinch runner. None of these things that should have happened. Exactly, FJ. And it was just wild. He twisted himself into a hole that he didn't need to put himself into midway through the game. It was only the 5th inning. What are you doing? And all that's done is that's now just basically put a massive middle finger to Grisham. Like, we don't trust you. We don't even trust you. We're going to put Jahmai Jones, who probably shouldn't even be on this roster, over you. Right? Now, I'm not excusing Grisham's performance. I'm not. I don't think Grisham's played well this year. But if you're looking at the long view, if you're looking at the bigger picture, how can you then trust Grisham and tell Grisham, come out and play for us once a week or whatever, twice a week? We love you. When, in truth, the manager doesn't love him because he took him out after 5 innings for no fucking reason with the bases loaded. That was a terrible call, and it really that started the game going all the way wrong after that, because everything had a knock-on effect after that. It just spiraled. So Aaron Boone for me was awful, man. Frank Rivera, let's blame Jahmai Jones for the loss. I'm not blaming Jahmai Jones for the loss at all.
No, it's Boone's decision to use
for the
Jahmai
decision
Jones.
making. That's the problem. That's the problem. Jahmai Jones probably shouldn't even be on the roster. At the most, he's a pinch runner. At the most, he's a backup infielder when you've got no other options. You don't stick him in the outfield. That was really weird. Really freaking weird. So I'm not excusing that. Aaron Judge was fine to play Game 3. He looked completely healthy. Aaron Judge was absolutely campaigning to play Game 2, and you couldn't find him in at bat when the Yankees needed him. What's the difference between an overnight? What, just overnight, magically Aaron Judge is healed? You had to give him the entire game off. You did. You had to. You couldn't have found a DH at bat for him. You couldn't.
Well,
let's not. It was the decision making didn't make sense.
No, but let's not assume that just because you didn't have, let's just be thankful he's not on the IL and there was no damage. But you don't know if there was still a little soreness the day before. Maybe he was just having a little
soreness. Aaron Judge said he was fine. He says, I want to be out there. I'm good to go. Let me out there. The Yankees couldn't have found him in that bat when the Yankees were in this position where they could win the game, especially after Stanton tied it. They had numerous opportunities where they could have won it.
I would have rather them have put in freaking Cabrera in that, I bet.
Do you know, Nosebleed's got a good point here. Judge should have been the pinch runner at worst. You know why? Joe Girardi said that. He says, that's what I would do. He says, if he doesn't have a bat on him, if he can't bat, at least have him as a pinch runner. And then he schooled Michael Kay as to how he would do it. And Michael Kay was silent after it because Joe Girardi is playing chess when everyone else is playing fucking checkers. He's a fucking smart guy, man. I'll tell you what. So
on the announcer booth, at least.
Yeah.
Not in game.
He was a very good manager. He won us a freaking championship as a manager.
Won us a championship with a loaded roster and then couldn't do much else after that. And
Aaron Boone has had numerous loaded rosters and done shit with them. So
there's a reason the Phillies cut his ass midway through a season and they almost won a championship championship without him. I'm just saying that we can love Girardi all we want in the booth, but there have been several instances where he did not make decisions like that while managing. So I'm sorry,
He
I'm
did a
not.
pretty good job in 2017, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Right. He did do a great job in 2017, but you can't say Aaron Boone didn't do a good job in 2019 because we got to the ALCS as well. So, I mean, I'm the love affair
Just
for
saying, like
Girardi.
in terms of strategy, it looks like Joe Girardi's got his head switched on, and Aaron Boone has shown when he has to put on the old strategy cap, he can't do it.
But those strategies didn't come into effect when he was managing from 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It took him till 2017 to finally get those strategies. It was long overdue for him to be gone. I agree that it shouldn't have been after his best season, but he should have been gone well before 2017. And he didn't show those strategies with the Phillies, who had a great roster as well. And look,
Yeah, I mean, I can't excuse the Phillies, but he did win Manager of the Year with the Marlins. Let's not forget that. Did a good
and
job
then
with the Marlins.
they let him go too. So
Right, but
I
that
mean,
was unfair. He did everything right. He didn't do anything wrong in that.
it's easier to be strategic in the booth because Aaron Boone was very smart in the ESPN booth. Let's not forget that. That's what got him a freaking job in the first place.
Yeah.
That and the fact that he knew how to play a mix and match game. We can go on and on about the decision making from the manager, or at least from the guy in the booth. Judge shouldn't have been sitting there if he was good to go. At the very least, you pinch run him or give him an at bat. Give him a chance to swing the bat.
Point. That's all my point,
Right.
Tats.
I'm not Tats.
No, that's what I'm saying. But Tats was arguing with
No,
you. So I'm saying that's all my point, Tats.
I'm not Tats yet. I don't want to be Tats.
No,
Only
I
one
know what
Bobby
you're
Tats.
saying. I was just
What did I do?
Tats was arguing. Oh well, let's be happy that Judge is playing. I was like, no, Tats. My point was, if he says he's good to go, you got to find that bat for him.
Yeah, I just I'm not in a. We have the record we have gives us the leeway to not push a player. The same thing with Soto when they didn't put him in. Put him in. It was. I think that's why I was like, "There's no way they're going to let him even touch the field the next game. Give him the full day off, no matter what. I don't care if you're good to go. I'm giving you the day off." That was a nasty hit to the hand. And you had to. We had to take you out of the game. We're giving you a full day off. I just think that the where everything just went wrong. Yeah, I would be fishing. Believe me, I'll be fishing tonight too. But I just don't think that the decision to sit Judge the entire game and not use him at all is what cost us the game. Could it have won us the game? Maybe. They might have just walked him and taken the bat out of his hand for all we know. And be like, look, I'm not even letting him put me in that. I'm not even letting him get the glory. I'll take my chances with the next guy.
That's a good point because who was batting after Grisham? Was it DJ?
It was Trevino.
Oh, well, yeah. Then they probably would have walked Judge anyway. Yeah. Look, you could take Judge out of the equation. It doesn't change the fact that Grisham they should not have taken Grisham out.
Exactly.
I wanted to see Grisham swing the bat there or Cabrera. It should not have been Jahmai Jones in that spot. That is something we can all agree on. Whoever, doesn't matter who's in the booth, doesn't matter who's the manager or who's the bench coach, whatever the fuck you want to say. There's no reason Jahmai Jones should have been hitting there. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound like I'm picking on the guy, but he was DFA'd. He's there. He's just taking up a roster spot, and that's the spot you bring him in. I'm sorry. It's unfair to him. I don't want to sound like I'm blaming him for the game. It's just that was a bad decision. A really bad decision.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off like Boone is the worst manager that's ever managed this team. Because up until this past week, we've had little nuances we've been able to pick at, but he really hasn't killed the team. He's had a bad week.
Yeah,
that's why I was saying, your record, it says what you say. What the record, you are what your record says you are, right? The Yankees still have the best record in baseball. We still have a lead in the AL East. It's a little slimmer than it could have been, but we still have the lead in the East. It's a bad week, and I think that once we get past this month, because we still have Atlanta, and the Mets have heated up. We got to deal with them. and we got to cool them off, which I believe we can. But I think after here's what I believe. Right, we had our asses handed to us 17 times yesterday. Atlanta's we're gonna smack the hell out of freaking Atlanta.
You think so?
I think so. I think coming off an embarrassment like that in your home stadium, I wouldn't want to be the next team up.
I thought that thing about this series, so I was proven wrong.
I'm going to say it until it's true, and then I'll be like, "See, I was right the whole time."
The thing about this series, the problem with this series is not where we are. Where we're at is fantastic. That we can afford these series. That's fine, right? You can still be the first team to get to 50 wins and be very, very proud of this team. But also fairly call out criticisms. And it doesn't mean that you're being negative. It doesn't mean that you don't think this team can win the American League. I think this team can win the American League. Right now, the Orioles are the better team. Right? That's just facts. We've played them in 2 series, and they beat us in 2 series. Right? That's just facts. Now, obviously, at the moment, we have a very slim lead in the East. But I don't think that's going to last very long at the way that the Orioles are currently playing and the way that the Yankees are kind of trending down these last week or so. The reason why is we don't have a bullpen, right? And it's not just 1 or 2 guys. You could make the argument that 75% of our bullpen could probably be overturned at this stage, right? There's serious concerns with our bullpen. Then you look at our infield, and our infield is a problem. You have a catcher who's now got the Chuck Knobloch yips in terms of throwing. He's got a spaghetti arm. And guess what? The Red Sox have now shown that up, and now teams are starting to pay attention to when Trevino catches that you can run on him. He has got the slowest pop time, the worst pop time in the majors, and he's got the worst arm as a catcher in the majors. So those are major issues. You got that, and now you got an infield which is in flux now, with Anthony Rizzo injured for 2 months. You got Glaber with a groin injury. He's not even played well even prior to the groin injury. And you got Oswaldo Cabrera who comes in as a defensive replacement, and he doesn't play defense either at second or third. So you got issues now in the infield and now in most of the bullpen. Those are very real, and it's nothing to do with negativity. I think Aaron Boone overall has done an excellent job as manager this year. You can't argue otherwise. We've got the best record in the majors for much of this season. Fantastic. However, he got schooled against Boston. Alex Cora owned him, and Alex Cora has owned him for most of the time that we have ever faced him. Right? That's true. I'm sorry. You just have to be truthful about it. Alex Cora owns him, right? Now he's Aaron Boone stumbles along, plays the Dodgers prior to the series against the Red Sox, and he got owned in that series too. Then he comes along in this series, and he gets owned in this past series. He's been owned in the last 3 series against big teams. That's just the facts, right? We can argue it one way or the other. He has not done a good job in these big series. He has to do better, but a lot of this is down to the fact that we don't right now have a bullpen, and our infield is in flux.
That's that bullpen is scary bad right now, and with Hamilton hurt, we don't know if when we're getting Birdie back. Efros and Brubaker are not on the radar just yet because they still have to go through rehab and basically a full spring training. The fact that they signed Tim Hill. And I know I said, get me another ERA, a 5 ERA pitcher, but why are you getting another lefty that throws ground ball stuff? Do we not already have a bullpen full of that? We've had now 5 left-handed pitchers this season out of this bullpen that all throw the same exact stuff.
Yes.
They're all ground ball pitchers. Why that was a decision to bring in Tim Hill instead of just giving that shot to Gomez, who you've been stretching out as a starter for some odd reason, despite keeping him on a pitch count. That I don't understand. Use him as a relief pitcher. He could be the guy that you were hoping Clayton Beeter would be. Beeter's hurt, so they can't use him for the multi-inning role. They were hoping Hamilton could be the next Michael King. Why can't Yoendrys Gomez be that guy? You can get 3 or 4 innings out of him. At the very least, you can get 2 out of him and sit him for what you were going to do with Loaizaga, you can do with Yoendrys Gomez. And maybe they call him up tonight because Marinaccio was optioned again. But I said yesterday, they could DFA 3 players from this bullpen and nobody would miss them. And I was
Oh.
talking about Canely because he can go. NFE, as NFE says, he can kick rocks for all I care. Ferguson can go. Tim Hill should never have been here. The White Sox said we don't want you. And the Yankees are like, yeah, project. If you're going to go get a project, get a guy that can strike people out. For the love of fucking God, get me a strikeout pitcher in this bullpen because we don't have one. Call up Gomez. Fuck it. Call up Neely. I don't need to see more out of him. He's a strikeout pitcher who throws absolute gas. And give a shot to Dwayne Underwood for all I care. Or maybe you wait for Birdie to get healthy and you bring him back in a week or so. I think, according to CBS, he should be back within the next couple of weeks. And see what you have, because you have basically 5 weeks between now and the deadline to really assess what's in the minor leagues before you make a move. Because guess what? The entire National League is in contention with the exception of 2 teams. Almost all of the American League is in contention with the exception of 3 teams. It's not like you're going to be able to pick and choose who you want to get. Every single team in baseball could realistically go get Tanner Scott if they wanted to, with the exception of like Oakland and Colorado and maybe the White Sox. Every other team can be like, we need a relief pitcher. Baltimore can go get him because they got some bullpen troubles. They need a starter more than anything, but they can go get him if they wanted to. The Red Sox, the Mariners, well, they don't really need it. But my point is, he's the best guy in the market. He would help the Yankees dramatically, but a lot of other teams could use him. It's not going to be easy to go get who you want this year because there's so many teams in contention. See what you have in the minors before you go and make a bold decision and trade away multiple prospects for a relief pitcher, because we ain't getting no Mason Miller. That's not happening. But for the love of God, see what you have. Gomez is out of options after this year. See what you have in the kid, because you have several relief pitchers hitting free agency, including your closer next year. You might need to replace your closer. Why not do it now while your bullpen is shot and you can use some innings? That we're not going to miss Canely. We're not going to miss Ferguson. Tim Hill should have been never have been a thought to sign. Marinaccio, whatever. It is what it is with him. They're going to use that option.
We wouldn't miss Gonzalez either.
We wouldn't miss Gonzalez either. What's the point of having 3 lefties if they're not going to get anybody out?
And they're all Rob, you're spot on. They're all got the same arsenal. It's all it's all ground ball sinkers. What does Tim Hill throw? A ground ball sinker. His entire arsenal is mid-80s stuff. His fastball tops off 89. His sinker's about 88. Right? It's all just sinkers. Right? That's all he throws. Gonzalez.
And that's a batting practice philosophy. You're not going to get anybody out with that.
The whole bullpen throws the same stuff. No one strikes anybody out. That's the problem. Clay Holmes is your closer. He hasn't missed a bat yet. He has less strikeouts in his last 12 innings pitched than he does actually innings. Like, only has like 7 Ks in his last 12 innings pitched. The 6.87 ERA. So, if your closer isn't missing bats, and nobody in the bullpen's missing bats, that's a problem. Why are they not giving Gomez a shot? I don't get it. They've given everybody they're signing a dude with a 6 ERA rejected by the White Sox. They sign him, but they don't give Gomez a shot. Like, make it make sense to me.
Yeah, and I think John's right on this one. A ground ball bullpen with a shaky infield.
Thank you. Great point too.
You know, I said I don't mind. I said in the beginning of the season, and more recent, the ground ball pitching doesn't bother me. You know, especially in a stadium like Yankee Stadium. If you're able to keep the ball out of the air, you can succeed more than you fail. But if you don't have the infield behind you, then no, it's not going to work. The only caliber infielder we have right now is freaking Volpe, and he can't play everywhere.
She could. Can we clone him? Can we clone him and Soto and Judge and have 3 players?
I want to bring up another issue.
Amazing.
I want to go back to Hill for a second. I forgot to bring this point up because I think it's a viable point. This was the first time this year he's had the extra day of rest. Was
second
that
time? I think was it the second
no,
time?
it was 6 days before his previous start.
Didn't that happen though? Like earlier in the year, he had an extra day. They gave him an extra day, and he got rocked a little bit.
Yeah,
this might have been the second time. You might be right. I'm not sure. I got to look that up, but I'm pretty sure we've had this conversation about him and Rodon. When they've been given that extra day, they've gotten lit up.
Because it was mentioned on the radio broadcast how, maybe the extra day, just threw his routine off.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen him that flat. So I don't know if that's a factor, if it's, something that the Yankees need to keep an eye on. But I just thought that was, we used to do the same thing with Tanaka. Was another one that, that with the days off. Would throw him out of his routine and he wouldn't be as effective. So it was Ken's correcting you, Rob. It was his second start with an extra day
Correcting
off.
you. No, he's
Correcting
correcting
you.
Crediting you. Sorry. Crediting you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Sunil. No, but you're right though. Whether it was his first or second time, it's the truth. He needs to stay in his routine because we've said this before. Pitcher, they are creatures of habit. That's the saying that Donald's been using here for 4 years now. Creatures of habit. Everyone's been saying it. Keep him on his routine. Now I get it. Days off, it's tough to do, but maybe you should have pitched him. Game 2, and then it said Cole use the extra day because Cole's been around forever. Yeah. I think Cole can handle the extra day, although he did get mad when the game was delayed for like 20 seconds, but whatever. I don't know. But the thing with Heel is this was bound to happen. I didn't think he was going to get blasted this badly, but this was bound to happen. He was due for a bad start. He's been almost too good, and you're like, when is it going to happen? Not, I hope it happens, but you're just waiting because we've watched enough baseball combined in our lifetimes to last a millennium. So that's because of Tats and Sunil, of course. But you're gonna see this every year from every pitcher, even the good ones, the bad ones. They're gonna have their runs where they look like shit. Heel's last 2 starts, he has not looked very good. No. He was able to fight through it against Boston, but yesterday the Orioles lit him up like a Christmas tree. Now, how does he respond? That's a big question. Was it the extra day off? Is he getting tired? There's a lot of things. Luckily, Matt Blake is very good with this stuff, so I'm sure they'll get on top of that, but I expected this at some point. I just hated that it happened against Baltimore because we could have used that win yesterday. If he was his regular self and giving us 5 or 6 and keeping them at 2 or 3 runs, we probably win that game. And we probably win the series. But credit to the Orioles, whether he was tipping pitches or whether they were just scouting him better, they beat the living shit out of him.
I'll jump on that. I don't believe there was anything to do with tipping or scouting. The thing is, he was aiming his pitches, and all of his pitches were going middle.
Yep.
And there's not a hitter, not a professional hitter in baseball that is going to miss that. These were fastballs. Doesn't matter what the velocity is. If it's middle, without any movement, it's going a long way. And that was the thing with Luis Gil. He wasn't really delivering his pitches. He was aiming them. It was like his arm was tired. His arm was just off. And you know when someone's tired is when they start to aim it. And it was just going middle. Every pitch, middle. I mean, I remember I texted you, Rob. I was like, all his pitches are going in the middle of the plate. It was batting practice, unfortunately. So I think it's actually more to do with the fact he's tired. Now, does that mean that I believe that he is trending towards the point where he's no longer going to be our starter? I don't believe that. I believe that it's just maybe a case of he needs a little bit of rest. Maybe he needs to skip a start. I don't know, just to give his arm a break, because it's real that he's never pitched these many innings before in his life, right? It's real now. And he doesn't have the same life on his pitches as he did a couple of starts ago. That's real too. However, I don't believe this is it. I believe that it might just be a case of managing him a little bit until he gets that spark back. And I think it'll come back. I don't want him in the bullpen. We have to address the bullpen separately. I don't want Luis Gil in the bullpen. I believe he's too good as a starter. Unless I see more evidence that he is completely tired, then I'm going to just knock it down as bad start. He's tired. Maybe a case of managing that arm a little bit better for the next couple of weeks. But we do need to address the bullpen more than anything to do with the starters because Garrett Cole is on a pitch count. Now you clearly see Luis Gil is now tired. You now need a bullpen. And we can't just screw around with dumpster diving now. We need somebody that we can trust.
No, we need viable arms. We
absolutely trust. And there's now increasing pressure on that. And it's not just one arm. I said last week, we just need one high leverage arm. Oh shit. We need multiple high leverage.
Last week that was still true.
Yeah.
This week, no, yeah, it changes. And that's why I was saying this is, if it was any other team, we'd be like, all right, they got us. But it's just frustrating because it's the Orioles coming after a terrible series with Boston. So it's right now it's just got that snowball effect, and it's stinging a little bit. It's just a matter of how you respond. With Gil, and we're gonna get to the awards. We gotta get to that soon, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more things to say about a few specific players. But if he was able to go on the run that he did after that little clunker after the doubleheader that Ken referenced, that Rob did, maybe he's ready for another run. Because Joan even threw into the chat, his last couple of starts haven't really been, lights out. He's been, getting us through. He's been getting the wins, but his walks have been up, even though he's not letting them come over the plate. But his walks have been up. So this might be something that maybe he's going to go on a nice little run again, go nine straight wins for us, because that's the run that that's how it was. And I don't know if he's been gassed out, Lou. I really don't. Oh, and Lou, you asked before who was starting tonight. It's Rodon. So we have Rodon tonight to try to right the ship against Atlanta.
We have to go about 7 innings because we don't have a bullpen today.
Oh, the bullpen's exhausted.
At least 6.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rodon does show up. He's been pretty good, but getting deeper into the games lately.
Well, if it's hot out there, like everyone keeps saying it is, Rodon's going to be a freaking puddle of sweat by the 3rd inning. So hopefully, hopefully he can give us 7. If he can give us 6, that'd be great. I'm just praying that it's Gomez tonight, not Cody Morris, who pitched yesterday. It makes all the sense in the world for it to be Gomez, unless they pick up another scrap heap relief pitcher and throw him out there. But that's the second time they've done this now to these guys they pick up off the waiver wire or the scrap heap. They did it to Tonkin his first day with the team, and he gave up the winning run in that extra inning game. Since then, he's been the best pitcher in the bullpen. Go figure.
That's true.
Tim Hill gets thrown in there in his first game in a blowout and gives up 3 more runs. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to turn it around the way Tonkin did, but they've got to stop throwing these guys out there immediately in their first game and being like, okay, go save it. It's just not fair to the pitchers. But also, there's no need for another soft throw and lefty. That's what I said earlier. I'm praying that it's Yoendrys Gomez. So he's not going to save this bullpen.
Too. He was awful too, but luckily Verdugo saved the day with an insane Superman grab. We need some decent arms, man. I don't understand why we haven't addressed it through AAA. There are some good arms in AAA, live arms.
Even Phil Bickford can give us some strikeouts. I mean, I'm looking at anybody they can recycle through at this point. DFA somebody, add somebody to the 40-man. Gomez is already there. Neely should get a look. There was 98, and he's got pure strikeout stuff. That's what we need. I don't know why the Yankees have stopped liking strikeouts out of the bullpen. You want to have a couple of guys that throw junk and get ground outs? Fine. Yeah. But where's the variety? You have 8 bullpen spots and you have 8 ground ball pitchers. That's eventually a team's going to say, well, here's what we do. Hit a line drive or hit it to Gleyber Torres and you're probably going to have a really good shot. And now, thank God, they don't have to worry about, I'm going to say thank God, I don't want to see him be hurt, but maybe now with a different defensive alignment, that won't be the case anymore. But if these guys are getting lit up for line drives, doesn't matter who's in the infield. It's a mess.
Said that Aaron Boone put Oswaldo Cabrera at second base, and that was a disaster.
That was stupid.
two balls hit towards him, and he screwed both of them up. I mean,
Why
what's he
couldn't
doing
they
at
just put
second?
DJ a second and
He's
fucking
a
compare
Gold
it
Glove.
third?
There you go. Why Ben Rice wasn't even playing yesterday also. That was another issue. He's had some of the best at-bats the entire series.
Oh,
And they
yeah.
said, 2 games, that's enough. We're going to platoon you. That's what I don't like. I know the more things change, the more they stay the same because the Yankees were changing their ways. Oh, instead of giving Peraza the spot, they gave it to Rice. But now 2 games, he had good at-bats in 2 games, and they sit him. For who? DJ LeGround out? Like, he doesn't need to be playing. Give Ben Rice as much playing time as possible. Why are we doing this still? Why are we relying on 34-year-old scrap heap White Sox rejects instead of giving the shot to a hard-throwing righty that you can use right now in AAA or 2 hard-throwing righties you can use from AAA? Why are we doing this? The other teams in baseball are going to rely on what they have in the system. The Yankees have built the system so well going back to like 2019, 2021, where they really started drafting a lot better over the past 6 years or so. And they don't rely on the kids that they are developing when they're ready. Neely is ready. Gomez is ready. You've had Bickford there all year. Give him a shot. Underwood's actually pitching like a sub-2 ERA in AAA. Give him a chance. What do you have to lose? Thank you, Damian. What do you have to lose by giving somebody else a shot? Are we really going to disrespect Tommy Kahnle at this point? There should be no loyalty in a season like this for one-year players. Ferguson, Kahnle, they're one-year guys. I know Victor Gonzalez has 2 years left, but there should be no loyalty to some of these pitchers. It's Weaver, Tonkin, and Holmes. That's the trust right now. And I know Holmes has been having his season-long slump or his season yearly slump. That's probably going to last a week or so, but he'll be fine after that. I fully expect him to have another rough week, and then next thing you know, he's going to be lights out again. That's Clay Holmes. We've had the same conversation about Clay Holmes for 3 years. Every year, it's the same thing. Wow, this guy looks untouchable. And then he hits a wall. This guy sucks. And then, wow, he's untouchable again. He did the same thing in 2022. He was an all-star, hit a wall. October came around. He was the best pitcher out of the bullpen in October. So I'm not even going to have this conversation about Clay Holmes. He should not be pitching in the extra inning rule. Luckily, that won't happen in the playoffs. They won't be a ghost runner. That's why I'm not concerned about Clay Holmes. This happens every year, and we don't have to worry about that in the postseason. But my goodness, call up some of these kids that we have in AAA because you have nothing to lose. This bullpen stinks right now, and they need an injection, an infusion of some velocity and some freaking life to it.
Facts.
Exactly. And with all that being said, look, it's the series is what the series is. You know, we can't, you know, as much as we want to hit the rewind button, the outcome is the outcome. As much as it sucks, we break it down as best we can. You know, but it is now time for our favorite segment after the series. It's time for Donald's Awards.
No vibing after this frickin' series, that's for fucking sure. But I'll start with the positives. We'll start with the positives before I go full apoplectic on their asses. Let's start with the MVP. I do want to give a massive shout out to Big G. Big G has a really weird relationship with this fan base, or I should say, this fan base has a very weird relationship with Stan, because Stan has been nothing but a professional, and he's been open, accountable, available at all times for Yankee fans, and Yankee fans, I would say, by and large, are indifferent towards him, and it's incredibly unfair. Now, I wish he wasn't injured a lot. But guess what? He's tried his best to fix that this year, and he has been available. And I'm very, very proud of Big Stanton, because I'll tell you what, man, whatever you say about Stanton, he is always, 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 always there when we desperately need him. In the ninth innings, in the big clutch moments with runners in scoring position, he comes through, man. He did everything he possibly humanly could to win that game on his own in game two. And it's just a shame that Clay Holmes and the rest of the bullpen and our infield defense and Trevino made sure that that didn't happen. I thought Stanton was fantastic this series. He's the MVP. A massive shout out to Big G. Even Cashman called him out this offseason. And did he complain? No. He's like, no, I need to be more available. I need to be better. And I will be. And he was. And he is. So I think Stanton deserves an all star nod as a DH for the American League. I think he deserves it. He actually has more home runs, I believe, than Soto, or at least the same number. So I've been falling over myself for Juan Soto. It's time to give Stanton a lot of credit too. So Big G, you are my MVP. Let's go with Rob.
Yeah, Stanton and Soto were tied 18 home runs apiece. I think up until like 3 days ago, he had more home runs than Ohtani. He was like he's still like top 10 in the league in home runs, so he's been great. And there's no doubt he's the MVP of the series because there weren't that many people to choose from. But Giancarlo Stanton,
very slim pickings.
yeah, he contributed to the win in game one, and he almost won us a game by himself, single-handedly won us a game by himself in game two. So there's no other choice.
Amen. Tats?
Yep. That's the sweep for Stanton. I have
job.
Stanton as well.
Fans. Looks like a clean sweep for the fans as well. Excellent.
Yep.
Happy to see the Big G getting the credit he deserves. Okay. Low key. I'm giving it to Rice, baby. Rice, baby. He is a low key MVP. I tell you what, man. That's a one cheery dude. And I'm loving his at bats. I'm loving his swings. I think his swings have been excellent. Really quality power. He's even in his outs, he's lining some serious line drives here. So I'm thinking that there's something here to build on, whether as a future catcher or whether a future first baseman or whatever his future role is. It's a major leaguer for the Yankees. That I'm pretty sure of. So I'm giving him Rice in his debut weekend coming through. Salute to him. Let's go, Rob.
I got Volpe. It's because they didn't play Rice for that third game. Rice deserves a big shout out, but Volpe actually had a really good series as well, despite his struggles as of late. So I was happy to see Volpe turn around because if he's going the way he was for that month-long stretch where he was just red hot, the lineup is almost unstoppable. And now with Rice being in there towards the bottom of the order, I think it's going to be a lot better. But yeah, I think Volpe, offensively and defensively, Volpe was phenomenal.
Oh, he was incredible. He was. There's no question about that. Uncle Tats.
Yeah, I had Volpe. Yeah, I thought his defense is pretty much the same as Rob. I think he had a really good series, but just the rest of the team just didn't show up. It was just pretty much him and with the bat. It was just him and Stanton, really.
Your facts on, and the fans are actually unanimous.
What's going on, Jason? Good morning.
100% of the votes. Good morning, Jason. How are you? So unanimous for Volpe. Volpe, I do want to give a credit to him, man. He's just phenomenal. Like, he's another all-star candidate. Just incredible. His defense has been brilliant. His defense is even better than it was last year.
Yep.
Like, legit incredible at shortstop, making incredible plays. And it makes it look so routine. So he's been great. Let's go with the Clutch Awards. I'm actually going to go and give it to two guys on this occasion. I'm giving it to Volpe. Sorry, no, I'm not. I'm going to give it to Verdugo for the Superman, the 3-run saving Superman grab. Even though he didn't have a great series with the bat, that play kept it alive for Stanton to tie it up and give the Yankees a chance to win it in extra innings. Unfortunately, the Yankees have like a 17% winning percentage in extra innings, so they were not going to come through because they're not built for extra innings. They don't have anybody that can bunt. They don't have anybody that can run or do the little things. So that's an issue. But Stanton wouldn't have been in the position to hit the clutch at bat if it wasn't for Verdugo's incredible Superman grab that was similar to Cedric Mullins' incredible grab last year in a game where he did a Superman grab. So I think my man Doogie gets the clutch award. Also, he's sharing it with Big G because Big G always came through in a big spot in that game. So I'm going for him. Let's go with Rob Nino.
Yeah, I wanted to give this one to Stanton, but that catch by Verdugo, if that doesn't happen, the at bat from Stanton doesn't mean anything at that point. So yeah,
Facts.
Verdugo had kept us in that game as well, and it was you can give it clutch award if you wanted to both of them, but
That's what
that
I'm doing.
defense, man, Verdugo, the fact that he went from left to center and made that kind of a play where all we heard was, "Oh, you can't put this guy in center field." He made a hell of a play, and you can also actually give that to freaking Santander because Rice, I thought Rice, maybe you mentioned it to me in our chat, like he roped one, and I thought it was a gap or two, and then Santander laid out and made that play. There was some good defense in this series, despite the back and forth. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Verdugo as well.
Nice one, Rob. Let's go T.
Yeah, I had Verdugo too. His defense was flawless this series. The catches, and just to highlight Rob's comment on it, going from having to change positions to go to center field. You would have thought he's been there the whole game. He's just so comfortable out there. So I had Verdugo.
Looks like the fans. There's mostly Stanton, but there's a couple of votes for Verdugo here. Nosebleed going Dugo. Sunil's agreeing with me to give it both Verdugo and Stanton. And Ken says Stanton. Jones says Stanton. Stevie B says Stanton. So Stanton's going to win. And Sierra's salute to Sierra. She's saying Big Daddy Stanton. So Stanton will win the clutch award too. So he's getting that. The pitching award, well, this shouldn't take too long, so I'm not going to take too long on it. There was only one pitcher that really showed up, and his name was Nestor Cortez. So I'm giving Nestor Cortez the pitching award. Slim pickings, people. Let's go with Rob.
Oh, it's Tim Hill. What are you talking about? No, it's Nestor Cortez. It's Nestor Cortez. If you give that to anybody else and you're watching a different series.
I don't know, man. We could give it to Trevino.
Can I say something about that? Here's a guy, and I sound like Chris Collinsworth. Now here's a guy that he's lost his arm strength, and he's the guy you send out there to pitch in a blowout. That's going to be used against Boone's rating this entire series. It's probably in the negatives, but he did pitch better than he was catching. You're right. See, you put out there. Why not put your Mike Jones out there? Screw it. You use them as a pinch hitter. Why not use him as the freaking everyday next IKF or whatever you want to use him as? My goodness, the guy can't throw, and you're like, go ahead and throw some 50-mile-an-hour batting practice. Who cares? That's your choice. Ugh.
You're literally got the worst arm in the majors as a catcher, and you're like, oh, be our pitcher. Oh, that makes sense. Uncle Tats.
No, it's Nestor. I thought about Tonkin, but because really anytime that they've called him, into a game in various situations, he usually does show up. But Nestor his start gave us the only win of the series, so it's almost like an automatic. I do want to shout out the consigliere Joel in the chat. Welcome to the chat. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're enjoying the show. So, but not, yeah, it's definitely Cortez. There's really nobody else.
Yeah, the fans are united in Cortez too. That's fine. Let's go with the Aaron Boone out of 10. This should be fun. Let's start with Robinho.
I don't like to put negatives out there, but he deserves one. But I'm going to stick to my own rule. He's going to hit with a 0 again. Terrible. Very, very, very poorly managed series.
Horrible.
I know we got a win, but that second game was winnable, and he took a win away from himself, so he gets a 0.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. Taz.
Yeah, I gave him a 1. We weren't swept, so I don't want to give him a 0, just like you only get a 10 if you sweep. So I just gave him a 1.
It's fair. Right. Okay. Absolutely. We love the
Sit
guy.
back, everybody.
We
Sit
love
back.
the guy. But what are you seeing to give him 7 out of 10? That's 70%. What has Aaron Boone done in that series, that clusterfuck of a series, where he fucked everything up spectacularly that you give him 7 out of 10? I would kill for 7 out of 10. In school. If I went to school, I want 7 out of 10. That's what I'm aiming for. And you're giving him that for an absolute disaster class of a series. Don't know, man. Don't know. Don't know about that. Stevie B, 0. Deserves negative a billion. That's more like it. Mr. Barros, 0. Will Star, 0. Lose, 0. That's what I'm talking about. Good. Right. Finally, the rest of the people something that was the truth. 0 to 10. Let's start with me. Now I gave him a negative 9 this weekend, although it was a bit of a joke one. Let's see. What do I give him this time? You know what? I'm gonna give him a negative 1. Negative 1. He's still getting a negative because fucking hell, so bad. It's negative 1 out of 10. Everything he touched was bullshit. It's a couple of things, right? When he took Garrett Cole out, right? Garrett Cole, the inning previously, went back in the dugout and he indicated 1. Now, was that a 1 batter or 1 inning? What sense would it be if it was 1 batter? That wouldn't make any sense at all. And if it was 1 batter, why are you not having someone ready to come in to start that next inning? Because 1 batter's bullshit. He obviously went 1 more inning, okay? But him facing 1 batter was a nonsense decision. It made 0 sense. So you've either got a very strict pitch count on him, be happy you got the 4 innings out of him, and then you start afresh. If he actually indicated 1 more inning, which I'm almost certain he did, then you got to give him that, right? So I didn't understand what the point was in taking him out after. I thought it was a weird one, right? And then if you're gonna do that, why not have a better pitcher that can give you length? Because Marinaccio ain't that guy. You don't really want him to come in because this was an important game. Garrett Cole pitched his ass off. You don't want to give it up just like that. And so Marinaccio sucks. So he's gone now. The rest of the bullpen, horrible. The rest of the bullpen management, horrible. Why did Trevino get 2 games in a row, especially if he fucked us in game 2? Why is he playing game 3? Where's Wells? Couldn't get. As I already mentioned, the whole Jahmai Jones thing was a complete mess. Everything he did wrong with that. There was a whole bunch of things he did wrong. Luis Gil, I think you could probably argue he probably could have taken him out a little sooner. I thought he was kind of drowning out there. I thought it was really harsh on the guy to mount up that in the level of pitches. He was approaching 40 pitches at one point in that inning, and he clearly had nothing. I think you probably should have taken him out a little sooner. And if you're going to use Trevino as a bullshit pitcher, why waste another arm that you had in the 8th inning where you could have just had Trevino pitch 2 innings? What's the difference if you have 17 runs against or 25 runs against? At least you're not wasting another arm. So
I think they could only come in the 9th.
I think the whole bullpen, exactly as I'm saying, why not just have him come in the 8th or and just give him 2 innings?
A position player cannot come in as a pitcher before the 9th inning.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Well, fine. Well, whatever it was, nothing else worked. Nothing else worked. Everything was a mess. Also, his infield alignment was weird. Why are you putting Ozzy Cabrera there at second base? He should play third base. You could put DJ LeMahieu at second base. Like, there was other things you could have done. Ben Rice could have maybe come in first base. There was a bunch of other things you could have done, and it was just a mess. And why is Trevino again playing again yesterday when he completely fucked us in game 2? So I didn't like anything he did. I thought he did a horrible job. And also I didn't agree with sitting Aaron Judge all of game 2. I didn't like that at all. You got to find a way to get him in at bat when you're basically about to win the game. So he gets a negative 1 out of 10. Let's go with the L. Let's start with Rob.
Where do we even go with this one? You can so many L's to hand out. You can give it to Trevino, give it to the Yankees, give it to Boone. But I got to give this one to Jose Trevino again.
Yep.
How do you have it happen again? You got asked after the Boston series, are you concerned about this arm stuff? No, nothing with my velocity, no. And you blew it again, man. Like, you can't throw guys out. And another thing about Aaron Boone that we didn't even talk about, why are they sending Cabrera to steal a base against Rutschman? That's something we didn't even bring up. I was going to bring that up, but I don't want to get back into that. But that was another bad decision. But Trevino, man, and you can give that to the bullpen as well. I see some votes for the bullpen.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine. But I'm really to a point where I'm just sick of Trevino playing. I want Wells in there as often as possible.
Facts. Absolutely facts. I'm going to jump in on that as well. That's why I started the show going, get your free runs here, because that's what Trevino was doing. He's giving out free bases. Like he's like handing out Skittles. Come on, have a base. You want second? You want third? Come on over. Like, and George already obviously pointed out that he's got a hitch in his delivery and his throw. It's like he's rearing back. He's got a weird hitch where he kind of does that. It's like he's shot putting the frickin' ball. Like he's doing this, like that. And he's just shot putting it. He's got a spaghetti arm, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Now, am I the biggest Austin Wells fan? No, but he is your future. I'm sorry. Trevino cost us that game. He cost us that game again. He cost us that game with his bat. His bat was terrible. He ground into a double play like that, bang, when we were starting to rally, thanks to Big G. Big Trevino kind of lumbers along. Oh, well, that's that then. Fooked. So, like, offensively, he was a joke, and defensively, he was a joke. He also didn't help Luis Gil at all. At all. Like, you got to do better. You got to call a better game. So there was nothing that he gave you was good. And now that teams have a blueprint on how to beat the Yankees, and that is if Trevino's catching, run like shit on him. And that's what's happening. Now that is a concern. That is a major problem now. Now that the league has now got a blueprint, thank you very much, Alex Cora. Alex Cora has now given the league a blueprint because no one else was paying attention to it. We as Yankee fans paid attention to it. It was only Alex Cora and his scouts were like, holy shit, this guy can't throw. Right? And now since then, it's been like the floodgates have opened. Come on over! Free runs! Come on over! Thank you, Trevino. You fucked us again. And the problem is the Yankees are in love with this guy. They absolutely adore this guy. Why is he getting more games than Wells? Give me a break. Yep. At least, I mean, I'm not saying Wells is necessarily the answer, but his arm's better. Marginally better. So we've got a problem now. Thanks to Trevino. He takes the L. He absolutely cost us that game. 100% game 2 is on him. Taz.
Bones got my L. It's the way the bullpen was managed. We could say it's the bullpen, but the manager is supposed to be putting these guys into situations where they can succeed, and I don't think he did that. Because it's hard to just blame everybody. It's just he got outmanaged. He got embarrassingly outmanaged. So you have the game on the line. You bring in Mike Jones to pinch hit. I mean, I know we went over this earlier in the show, but for fuck's sake, anybody. I would have. They should have just either kept Grisham in or put Cabrera into hit, because at least Cabrera gives you a better shot at hit with runners in scoring position. So yeah, Bone definitely with the L.
That whole moment with having Cabrera run us out of the inning was so weird. Why are you not doing a hit and run? I think a hit and run would have been a better call with Trevino, considering Trevino was the slowest man in the world. So annoying. Let's look at the fans. What are the fans saying as the L?
Exactly. The first guy walks too bad as Jemai Jones comes up. He swings at the first fucking pitch.
What about his last at bat? He stared at 3 pitches right down.
No, but
I'm sorry.
swinging at the first pitch after a walk is my biggest baseball pet peeve
That's
ever.
a Gleyber Torres special too. I was surprised. I was like, he took a page out of Gleyber's book. Sorry, Sierra, but that was exactly what Gleyber would do in that spot.
Gleyber did not have a good series either. Sierra says L to the bullpen. Mello says Boone takes the L. Will Star says Trevino. Jones says Boone. Ken says the bullpen. So it looks like a tie, and Nosebleed breaks it with the bullpen. So it looks like the bullpen gets the L. Let's go with the final award. The Aaron Hicks Award. The worst of the worst of the worst of the worst. Let's go with Rob.
I mean, this was such a bad series. I don't want to keep picking on Trevino, because I could give him the worst of the worst, but he wasn't as bad as he was in the Boston series. Could give it to Jemai Jones. Could give it to Aaron Boone. Could give it to Tim Hill. Could give it to the fans that were who were mad that the Yankees were hitting guys, or blaming the hit by pitch on for the loss the other day. The worst of the worst, the New York Yankees in this series. It was a terrible series. Absolutely terrible. The Yankees got the Aaron Hicks Award this series. This was a series they had to play better in. It was against their biggest rival, the only competition in the East. The East is a 2-team race. This is a team that they will have to beat in October if they want to go win a World Series. The New York Yankees get the Aaron Hicks Award for this series.
Sierra points out Juan Soto's defense in right field. He was so good until this series, and I don't know what the hell happened this time. So bad, but the whole team has been bad. Like, no one played well defensively, apart from Volpe. So, what can you do? Verdugo played well defensively, and Volpe. That was it. Everything else was a total, utter train wreck. So, Rob's probably spot on with the Yankees in general. Uncle Tats.
Yeah, I had Trevino. The dude is shot. And, you can't go from winning a platinum glove. And I don't know if it was the injury or what, but dude, he can't throw out. You could walk to steal second. He won't get you. You don't even have to run.
No.
I mean, 13 stolen bases allowed in 2 games. And I know we're talking about 2 separate series, but that unacceptable. Absolutely pathetic. And this is, might as well just bring back Sanchez. I'd rather Sanchez at behind the plate.
Tats, you could go to Yankee Stadium, go through Yankee Stadium traffic, go through the Bronx, go to Long Island, drive back, and still steal on Trevino.
And catch a fish on the way.
And catch a fish on the way. And present a fish to him. It's a freaking joke.
Because the series in July, I'll be in Baltimore. I'm going to one of the games with the boys. And they better not fucking make me waste my trip. They better not ruin my trip. I want payback when we get there. I want to go on a revenge tour.
Honestly. My Aaron Hicks Award, I'm going to bring back the old guy. Clay Holmes. I'm giving Clay Holmes the Aaron Hicks Award. Let's just be honest here, man. In the last 12 innings, he's given up 20 hits. And he has a 6.87 ERA, only 7 strikeouts, multiple blown saves. He's been carrying a couple of L's, and we keep giving him the break because I'll tell you what, he's not really giving up too many hard hit balls. A lot of it stayed in the yard, but I'll tell you what, he ain't missing any bats, and he's not picking up any dubs. He has been fucking bad. He's been fucking bad, and we really needed him. Really needed him against the Orioles. I mean, at what stage are we starting to now say, you know what? What's going on with Clay Holmes? Because he's not freaking Mariano Rivera. God, there were
No.
some people on this timeline that were insane, insufferable, because he had a great stretch where for a bunch of innings he was unhittable. Well, we've got Mariano Rivera. No, he's not Mariano Rivera. No one's Mariano Rivera. But my God, I mean, I remember it wasn't long ago where I said I was wrong. Clay Holmes is fantastic. No. Never go against your first thought. I don't trust Clay Holmes. I never have. Now, do I still think he's our closer? Yes. But do we need to give him some serious help? Yes.
Yes.
Because we can't go into October with just him. You need to have another viable option. You have to. If you don't, we're fucked. Excuse me. I thought I'm giving him the Aaron Hicks Award, not because he's necessarily the worst performer, because I think the bullpen in general was a joke. There's much worse arms than he is in the bullpen, right? But the reason why I'm giving him that award is because he's added another thing to worry about. Prior to this past week, my only concern was getting the ball to Clay Holmes after our starters are done, right? Now, Clay Holmes is another problem because we're like, Jesus, he's giving you a 6 ERA. So, and he also can't pitch in these extra innings situations. He can't pitch in the Manfred rule games now because you can't have a runner in scoring position with a Clay Holmes in there. It's a guaranteed L. You can't have that because whether we like the Manfred rule or not, it's still here, and you need to have some kind of plan to get some kind of W's in these games, and you can't have it with Clay Holmes there because you put a runner in scoring position against him. It's a guaranteed L. So that's now another thing to worry about. So I'm giving him the L, and again, it's not because he was the worst arm. It's just because he's added an extra thing for us to worry about. Oh boy, what a freaking series! Tats, talk to us about Willie Mays. I know that you went to school with him.
We were going to lead off the show with Willie, but after this series and yesterday's game, it was not possible. We had to get the frustrations out. But no, it was I wasn't around on Wednesday, and really thank you, Sierra, for filling in. You killed it, and we're glad that you're with us. But baseball lost Willie Mays this week, and it's one of those, the legends just keep going away, and it's unfair. And it tied right in with the Rickfield game series yesterday. Yeah, because he kept saying, it was the oldest ballpark in America. It was the Negro League Park, and baseball has really done a better job of really making sure that the Negro Leagues are properly represented. And he made the statement a few weeks ago, he goes, that stadium's still here and so am I. And within 48 hours of that game, he had left us at 93. But this was a guy that he was probably not even, he's listed as the greatest center fielder that ever played the game. But you could also say he's probably one of the best outfielders, the best position players. I heard Steve Summers on the Fan yesterday with Keith McPherson, probably one of the best position players that he had ever seen. But it's Willie Mays, a 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, a 24-time All-Star, 12 Gold Gloves, and is responsible for the greatest catch of all time. It's definitely a huge loss for baseball. The representation of black athletes and the country lost an icon. So rest in peace, Willie Mays.
Say hey, kid.
Yeah.
Legend. Absolute legend.
But
Go.
so with that little moment of quietness, that is going to wrap things up for us on today's show. We appreciate everybody for hanging out for these few extra innings, as we had a lot to go over. But we appreciate everybody that stuck with us. And just remember to tune in Sunday with Lynn and Sierra on the upper deck, along with, I believe Jonah should be back from her little vacation.
And Rob, we've got a special announcement for this evening.
Do we?
What do you think, bro?
I believe we do. Tonight, another live stream. We're going to try to suffer through another Apple TV, Yankees Braves. So if you don't have Apple TV, join the club because I ain't getting that bullshit again. So we are going to be calling Yankees Braves tonight, 7 p.m. Hopefully, they can come out with the W.
Yep,
We're going for 1 and 2, Sierra.
Definitely check out the boys tonight. But as we always like to say, make sure you hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. This has been Pitchside Chronicles, where fans become family. And as I also like to say, Widows pinch out your pride and play hard.
Play harder than Trevino does.